The Rowdyruff Boys episode is entertaining, but also kind of disappointing. Okay, I'm still a little behind on Robot Boy, and given that I haven't reviewed a Powerpuff Girls content this year, I decided to review the most overrated episode of the Powerpuff Girls. Powerpuff Girls versus the Rowdyruff Boys. Now, keep in mind that overrated doesn't mean it's bad. I like this episode, I just don't think it's the best episode of the Powerpuff Girls. I would like to point out that my expectations were a little too high coming to this episode, so my feelings of disappointment may not necessarily mean that the episode is weak. And heck, I kind of understand why people like this episode. It's a very special one, and it's really entertaining. I just don't think the crown for being the best episode of the Powerpuff Girls, at least on IMDb, is one I agree with. The first few minutes I have no problem with. Watching Mojo trying to destroy Townsville and being defeated by the Powerpuff Girls over and over again is not only funny, but it also sets up Mojo's rage, good mental breakdown scene by the way, and it also sets up Mojo's motivation to create the Rowdyruff Boys. And not just that, there are some things good to appreciate here. I liked the action scenes. It was really fun watching the Powerpuff Girls fighting against a perfect match, and during those scenes there were some pretty funny moments. I also like how the Powerpuff Girls managed to defeat the Rowdyruff Boys, implying that physical strength isn't the only form of strength. Never mind how kind of creepy it was. What really bothers me about this episode, and if you watch my previous videos you probably already know why, it's the Rowdyruff Boys. The first thing that bothers me about them is how they were created. Now, the Powerpuff Girls were created in a very hokey way, which of course fits well to the show's intentional mix of tone. So they decided to have the boys be created in a hokey way too, but I think they went a little too hokey. Is the episode seriously implying that the toilet water found in prison has the same chemical effect and potency as chemical X? If that were the case, then we would have a dozen of mutated creatures lying around in Townsville. Wait. I was also not impressed with their motivation. Apparently the boys became evil because they want to punch things. When I need a little more than wanting to punch things as a motive for being a bad guy. I know what you're probably thinking, other villains also don't have strong motivations. Well, the difference between the Rowdyruff Boys and the other villains is that while we were not introduced to the other villains with an origin story, with the exception of Princess Morebugs, this is the first time the Rowdyruff Boys decided to be evil, and I expect a clear and understandable motive for being evil, besides wanting to punch things, because this is their origin story. Another problem I have with these characters is the personality, and the fact that the three of them have the exact same one. And to make things worse, they have the most stereotypical personality you can find. I guess if the girls also had stereotypical personalities, it would create sort of a contrast between them, like typical boys versus typical girls, but they're not. In fact, the whole point of the Powerpuff Girls was to break gender norms. But honestly, all of this wouldn't bother me that much if the Rowdyruff Boys were just average villains. But they are the arch enemies. They are the reverse Flash of the Powerpuff Girls, and I expect better execution of these characters. Like seriously, they are like the opposite of the Powerpuff Girls. They should be like the most special villains. Now that I think about it, maybe the Rowdyruff Boys are like this because their stereotypical behavior is supposed to contrast the girls' gender norms breaking behavior. It's kind of clever now that I think about it. But even if that's the case, it doesn't excuse how flat they are. And although I wish I could say that they received better treatment and more development in the later episodes, they ended up coming up as more obnoxious. So I don't like the Rowdyruff Boys. The characters, not the episode. Whatever, at least I'm not alone on this. Well, actually I kind of am. Based on many fan arts I've seen, the Rowdyruff Boys seem to be fan favorite characters. Personally, I find them to be annoying and not at all relatable. Anyway, that's all I have to say regarding this episode. Next week, I'll be reviewing either Robot Boy or Mr. Incorporated. It depends on my mood. Although I'll probably review Mr. Incorporated. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye for now.